a Chick-fil-A ice guy, and then I was a refrigerator ice guy. But lately, I'm gone old school with the big blocks of ice like your mom used to make in the little carton.
Oh, yeah. The kind that'll break your teeth, right? That's what we want.
Well, yeah, you could. Well, you're not
All right.
supposed to eat it.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to crunch my ice. All right, let's crunch ice and go live. Here we go.
You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom! That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that.
Boom!
I've been saying ice crusher this whole time while we're gone. You know, one of the greatest moments of my life when I was on my hitchhiking trip and I got a job I took no money. I would get jobs all along the way. And I was in St. Louis and I got a job as a beer vendor at Busch Stadium in St. Louis right there. And so I was staying right across the street at the Mark Twain Hotel, which was, I had to climb over somebody with a needle in his arm to get to the bathroom. It was a really rundown, but
Very
I was
fancy
there
place.
and I learned a couple things about it. But it was fun. So I was a beer vendor. I was doing that, but there was the other guy that was the peanut person, and peanuts was so much more fun because you can go peanuts, and you can just scream the whole time peanuts, and it's like very annoying, and it was fun, and it sounded just a lot like ice crusher. So there we go. And
I didn't know where you were going with that, when the plane was going to land, but we made it in. The pilot brought us in with a few turbulence, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dan Jourdan live. If you're watching, and we can see that there are people on LinkedIn and Facebook and the tube of Eunice, aka YouTube. Don't be a chicken. We've got a special guest today, Dan, and I'm excited because I think this is, every once in a while we'll have a show here, and it is about sales. I mean, there's a lot of the Venn diagram of life and sales kind of crosses at various moments, but I'm gonna roll it over to you because you have some world-class segues. But there's been a few shows where we've had someone who's developed a really cool product.
Yeah.
And talking about that and hearing those stories. So I'm excited about today.
Yeah, me too. Because a lot of people have a lot of good ideas. And some people, go as far as to make a business plan and all that and tell their friends and what have you. But never quite pull the trigger. Remember the sneaker eraser guy?
Yeah, that was sneaker erasers. That's been a massive hit.
Yeah, that was a big hit there. He went on to Shark Tank and then to the Dan Jourdan live show. And so
and then to superstardom, which is usually what happens, right? We're the launching pad essentially for everyone. So
but the success of any enterprise, it's a great idea, and it gets the right marketing and it gets the right play and the people do everything right. But at the end of the day, the difference between a business that succeeds and catches fire and a business that doesn't is 100% because of the leader, because of that inventor and that excitement that they can exude. And when the person who's created this neato product actually comes from New Jersey, it gets even better.
Wow.
And so out of nowhere, as if from the heavens, I came in contact with this woman, and she's agreed to come on the show today to share her wisdom. Yes, I know. Just today, of all days, today, the day before my birthday.
What?
By the way, I know.
Wait a minute.
Well, this is actually my birthday present, to talk to somebody from New Jersey who gets confetti. So with that said, please help me introduce my new friend, Miss Barbara Booth.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
She was prepared. Porker Stone. Barbara Booth, Porker Stone is embarrassed. Look at him.
I am not embarrassed.
This
is what happens with live shows, Barbara Booth.
You were just so nervous to introduce me, Chris. That's what it was.
That's
you
right.
Make me so nervous. You really do.
She does. Now, great. So the excitement, I can't believe you're one of the few guests, Barbara Booth. And by the way, for the car buying public out there who know this, for whatever reason, Barbara Booth it's so much easier to say the first and last name than just the last name, or just the first name. But is that like a New Jersey thing?
I don't think so. I think in New Jersey, most people just say Booth.
Just say Booth. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Detroit and everybody called me Stone. So, maybe it's I don't know. That's upper part of the country thing. Maybe.
That's how it happens. So up there in New Jersey, why don't you introduce yourself and your product? Because this was just amazing. Sometimes you go to bed at night and you think about all this stuff and you think, why didn't I think of that? And this is one of those, why didn't I think of that products, which is why I wanted you to come on and see how you got it started. So why don't you tell us what it is, and then as to the reasons why.
Okay, sure. So my product is really basically an airplane tray cover. They come in beautiful designs, and they're antimicrobial, and they help you avoid the germs that are on the airplane. And that's simple about what it is, but it's really so much more than that. We're a company that is all about transparency and honesty and just really being kind to the planet. So our tray covers are made out of plastic that's gathered from the oceans and the landfills. So they are eco-friendly and they are sustainable. And one of the reasons is because in my research, I found that there are so many single-use disinfectant wipes that are going into the landfills, and they're clogging our landfills and they're washing up along shorelines. And that was something that I felt really needed to be addressed, because I, for one, did not know that. So to back up a little bit, the way that this came about is because one of my very best friends, Cornelia Quinn, who is also the co-founder of the company, came to me back.
Hold on. Back up 1 second.
Yeah,
sure. What's her name?
Cornelia Quinn. Do you know her?
Cornelia Quinn.
Did she marry into that last name?
Yes.
Oh my God, what a gift! I mean, what's a perfect? It's a perfect.
That is like Quinn. It's almost like a celebrity name. Like when you hear that, you're like, oh, automatically you hear this little, when you say it.
I used to know a girl. In high school, her name was most beautiful name ever, Sue Paradise. Isn't that not awesome? I was
Cornelia Quinn is giving Sue a run for her money.
I know. Cornelia.
That's a good name.
And she's as beautiful as her name. Inside and out.
We have Barbara Booth here, Barbara.
Yeah, that's right. No, we're talking about Cornelia.
This is Cornelia can join another time. This is your show.
What happened? What happened with Cornelia? The impetus of this.
Well, so we were having dinner in New York City, and at Rayo's, as a matter of fact, and we were talking about her son, who has special needs and is always on a plane because he was battling leukemia and he has autism. So he has autoimmune issues, and he would be on the plane frequently because he needed to get treatments. And so she told me that she was really concerned because 2 days after coming off the plane, he would always come down with a bacterial infection. And she felt that it was because of the airplane tray tables, because she had heard that they're very dirty and, that they have a lot of germs. And I was a CNBC reporter at the time, which I've now jumped back into doing special projects. But at the time, I was an investigative reporter. And so she asked me if I could look into this. So I said, sure. And at the time I was not a germaphobe. I was one of those who put my head down on the tray. I wasn't really sold on her whole idea of thinking that this would be the reason. But I did. I went full force, talked to airline personnel, cleanup crews, flight attendants, researchers who researched airplane protocols, hygiene protocols. And what I found was so shocking. I found out from the researchers that the airplane tray tables hold 2,500 colony-forming bacteria that contains E. coli and MRSA. That's 8 times more than the toilet flush button on the plane. And they are indeed the dirtiest spot of the plane, the dirtiest surface. Now, I'm not going to say that there's no other surfaces that are dirty, but they are far, far more dirtier than any place else on the plane. I talked to cleanup crews, and they fully admit that they only have about 4 minutes in between flights to clean. So the airplane tray table rarely, if ever, gets cleaned. And flight attendants have told us that that is so true. They never get cleaned, and what they see happens on the planes is really horrifying. People changing their babies' diapers on the tray, putting their feet on the tray. And I have, in my Instagram, I have footage of that, of me being on the plane, and there's people filing their nails and, have their legs up on their bare legs up on the tray tables and their feet, and really crazy stuff. So that's just from me flying. So I decided, what, there is definitely a niche for this. And there were a couple of other tray table covers that were on the market, but they're not antimicrobial. They're not made out of eco-friendly material. They don't come in beautiful designs. There's nothing else like what we do because there's just so much more about the brand. And yes, we launched this not because of COVID. In COVID, they did increase their hygiene protocols, but that now has gone way back to pre-pandemic times now. And people now are flying more than ever. The levels of people flying are beyond what it was pre-pandemic right now. So you have 2.65 million people in the US fly domestically every single day. So if you think about all those people that are using these single-use disinfectant wipes that never decompose, that have toxic chemicals in them, that's a lot of harm to our planet. So I wanted to come out with something that was really beautiful because, the whole glamour of flying really isn't there anymore. Back in the 70s when you had a lot of leg room and people dressed up for flights, it was special. Now it's a hassle, it's tight spaces. So we wanted to put a little bit more joy into your journey and coming out with these gorgeous designs that are beautiful for everyone from infants to business execs and everyone in between. It really does put a little more joy in your journey. So people just absolutely love them. And the antimicrobial that we have in them is a non-toxic, non-irritating. We proudly make everything in the US. So it's been amazing so far.
Well,
love it.
Isn't that cool? So it's one thing. Again, it's a great idea, and you're trying to help your friend. And by the way, what's the boy's name?
Her son is
Jake?
Jake. Yes.
Okay.
I'm reading the bio.
Thank you.
How's Jake doing, by the way?
He's doing okay. He is fine. He doesn't have leukemia anymore. He won that battle, but he does have a lot of other health issues. And so it's really consumed Cornelia's time, and she's an amazing, amazing mom.
I'm glad you brought up the thing about the wipes, because I will say, when you look at products, and we all look at multiple products an hour, right? And we're all like, a lot of products you see, you're like, oh, I never knew this was really a problem, or I never, and this kind of seems like something that, do I really need this? Like this seems superfluous. You like that little vocabulary there, Dan? And so at first I saw this and I was like, do we really need this? I know they clean planes, right? Before you get on them, or at least we're told that they clean planes before we get on them, right? And then I thought to myself, well, I know I bring wipes with me, Purell wipes or whatever they are. And of course, you go into a hotel room, you basically like spray that place down. Right. And so I thought to myself, well, I'm wiping this tray already. So, do I really need this? And then even before we even brought up that question, which I was thinking in my mind, this is what I'm going to ask, is like, well, hello, we're not helping the earth with all of these things. And so why not take these things and that already exist, these materials already exist, and solve that problem, and not only solve the problem of having a much safer flight in terms of attracting germs or getting, what may be in a plane. It's already full of germs, that thing, with the air circulating and everything. It's like, why not take every precaution you can? And so I love the fact that you kind of led with that, like, hey, let's not, turn the earth into a landfill here with all of these wipes, and let's use what we already have. How important was it that you had the economical factor or the earth, and how important was that to you in this whole process?
That's such a great question, Chris. That was extremely important from the day that we started. When we tried to come up with a plan of what we were actually going to make, I knew that it had to be something that was sustainable and eco-friendly, because right now, millennials and Gen Z, this is what they support, and companies have to be responsible. And the airline industry and the tourism industry in general has to be held accountable for cutting down on the waste, because nowadays there's just so much waste that comes from airlines. There's 3.5 million tons that go that's produced just from the airlines. Wow. So the product is not just a product that brings joy and brings people feeling more confident on the plane, but it's also a catalyst for teaching people how important it is to travel a little bit more ethically, so that, these communities are here for our future generations.
I equate it to, you see people like before, when everyone knew that you should be drinking more water, everybody was carrying around plastic bottles of water. And, eventually people are like, hey, stop doing that. You're creating landfills. And so here is an, eco-friendly alternative. And then all of a sudden you start to see water fountains that accommodate people that are bringing in waters. And it's not a fast moving ship, right? It takes a while for people to realize, hey, it might be a good idea to have a tray sleeve here because of these reasons. Because at first people are like, why do I even care? I'm drinking more water. I'm helping myself up. And then at some point they got to realize, hey, this plastic is not a good idea. Right.
Correct.
Yeah, and you just want it to give it, because, like, listen, not every I'm not the type of guy that wipes things down. I mean, I'm not.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily a tray licker, but I am. I have been known, to put my hands down and sleep on the thing, and I'm sure I drool on that thing all day long.
You're the reason why this company exists, Dan. You're the drooler.
Exactly.
You're the tray drooler.
And so, like, if I'm my wife, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but like, she should get it for me. Because to do all this stuff, and anybody should get it for their kids who just, everybody needs one, and it comes in a little Nito Badito kind of container there too.
Yeah, that is cool.
This looks very professional, Barbara Booth. I mean, how did you take it from, hey, this is a pretty neat idea, to bring it to fruition and actually get your first item out?
So Cornelia and I, we're very funny. I've known Cornelia since I was 12 years old. We have an idea and we're just like, yes, let's do it, and we kind of jump in feet first. So we didn't really know exactly what we were getting into at first, because we thought, oh, we'll just do this product and then we'll sell it and people will love it and it'll just take off from there. But there's so much more to it than that. So the first thing that we did was we designed the case. And the first type of case that we designed actually was shaped like a Toblerone candy bar. You know, it's kind of like I guess it's kind of like a triangle. Yes,
yeah.
A triangle. And it was split into 4 sections because we wanted 4 sleeves to go into the case. So it was kind of like going to hang from your bag, and there were going to be 2 on the top, and it was going to have 4 little doors that opened. It's going to be really cute like that. And then we decided to hire a creative agency. And when we talked to them, they said, your product is all about unity, and it's about togetherness and people having the same mindset. So why don't you try to shape this like a hive? So that's where the hexagon came in. And the reason why it's a hexagon is because we envisioned when we sold this in stores that the hexagons would all be, kind of like a pyramid in the store, because in nature, one of the strongest natural structures is the honeycomb. So the cells in the honeycomb are the hexagon, and when they are all together, they're 120-degree angles, and the 120-degree angles are the strongest structure. So we just felt like if everybody had the same mindset, and everybody thought about the planet the same, and everybody were mindful of each other, that it would be a stronger world. And so that's where the hive came in. That's why it's shaped like a honeycomb. And then we had to figure out the fabric. And the fabric, we researched so many different mills, and we wanted to stay in the US, which is a little bit more costly, but we wanted the US flair. We wanted to have that made in the US. So we went to all these different mills, and we wanted an antimicrobial that's non-toxic and non-irritating. And we found one from the Swiss that we absolutely love. And so we worked with a mill that would not only print the material and put our designs on them, but also cut and sew them. So that's how we found the mill. And it took a year for us to have this it went from July to July exactly, to create the product and to, have the case. And we had this great guy, and I picked him because it's my father's name. He's an industrial engineer, and we were interviewing all these different industrial engineers, and his name was Mario. And I'm like, I'm going to try. I just have this feeling I'm going to love this guy. And he was amazing. And he was right in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. And he did an amazing job designing this case for us. And he was so into it. So it was, picking the fabric, picking the right weight of the fabric. It had to be something that had a little bit of a ridge to it so that things don't slide off the tray, but it had to have enough stretch so that it would go universally over Coach trays. And so there was a lot that went into it. And we had to come up with our name, which is Go Bee. And the reason why it's called Go Bee is because we want people to feel, we don't want them to fear the germs on the airplane. We want them to lose the fear and enjoy the journey, but not only just on the plane, but in life in general. Don't hold back, go out there and go be the person that you aspire to be. And so we say, go be curious, go be daring, go be an adventurer. And that's how we have Go Bee. So there's a lot into the brand. So that's why I'm saying there's some airplane tray covers out there. They're either a paper mat or there's something, but it's nothing like an entire brand that's about that has an uplifting tone and, is there to support our community.
That's amazing.
Good as a button. You may actually be a button.
Amazing story. What an amazing story. Yeah, I love, when you think Go Bee and you just hear it, you think of the buzzing bee, right? But hearing that story and then hearing just the story around the hexagon shape and what that means is just, there's so much thought that went into all of this. You just can't, as I hope that this show and other shows that you're doing kind of impact people, because it's like you just want to be able to support something like that. But at the same time, this does fulfill a need. What I really liked about the product is that when you get a 2-pack, I'm gonna pull this up. You get 2 of these in there, right? And this hot looking hexagon here, but you get colors, but they're 2 different materials, right? So in this case, there's a solid color and then there's a pattern. that comes with it. Can you talk about the reasoning here as far as like providing one that is a pattern, like in this case, kittens and glasses or cats and glasses, and then one that's more of a neon green, and so you've got a pattern, then you have a solid. There was so much thinking that went beyond with the other stuff. I'm guessing that there was a lot of thought that went into this as well.
Yes. So we felt that we wanted 2 in there because we wanted people to have one for the way there, the one for the way back. When we were doing 4, we were doing it for people that would have a layover. And then we realized we didn't really need to do all that. 2 is fine because you can wash these and they dry in seconds. And the antimicrobial stays for at least 25 washes, 100% effective in there. But the 2 are so that if you don't wash them, then you know which one you used and which one you didn't. So some people use them both for themselves, and then other people will use them for one of their companions. So there's a lot of ways you can use this. So we just thought that having 2 different, but they're coordinating, would be a fun way to do it. But we also sell them in singles, which we call solos. So you can get a single if you want, and people use them as a backup. They use them as a refill so that they can purchase the case separately and put whatever designs they want, because I know a lot of people loved the dogs, but they didn't want the solid. They knew that their children would want 2 dogs. So we came out with, you know what, let's do solos. And then they come in a really, really cute resealable zipper pouch that's made out of plants. This the pouch is actually made out of plants. And so it's the reusable pouch, and they can fill and put whatever else they want in there. But we were so accommodating in the beginning because we were a startup, and so people would call us and say, we want 2 dogs. Our children are going to fight over them. I said, don't worry, we'll just put 2 dogs in for you, And it was so funny. We would get calls, and this one wife called us up and said, my husband left his Gobi on the plane, and now he only has 1. What am I going to do? Can I buy 1? And I'm like, absolutely, I'll just send you 1. So we have a lot of funny stories. It gets so much attention on the planes. Every time we're on a plane and I have mine, the flight attendant stops. Where did you get that? I've had to, give them my card. And, I've had people trying to give me cash on the plane. This one guy was hilarious next to me. He was this big, like, bodybuilder, tattoos, like, not the demographic I would have thought. And he was like, I have cash. I'll give you cash right now. I like the dogs. I'm like, okay, I had an extra one. I'll give you the dogs. So it's, we have a lot of funny stories.
You're so nice. All right, I'll give you the dog.
All right.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. But I would absolutely, you should sell a 3-pack, and you could, because sometimes you're in a row with 3 people, and so what you could do, you got to give them to your neighbors. It's a good way to make friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or have you ever? What is there an ability, or is this maybe a future roadmap thing for Gobi? Is to have them branded for particular brands. So like if Dan Jourdan, the sales energizer, Dan Jourdan Live wants to have Dan Jourdan branded,
the sales
Gobi
energizer
airplane train covers with coordinating designs, multiple designs, then is that something you could do and sort of not necessarily print on demand, but accommodate the NFL if you wanted to get a Baltimore Ravens version of it, for instance.
So that's really funny that you asked that, because one of our biggest niches right now are travel agents, because they want to come up with a gift that's unique, but that shows that there's been a lot of thought. And so we do make them with a travel agent's brand colors and logos, and they buy them, and we put on their packaging, we put on their logo right on the packaging for them, and they give them as client gifts. So that's been a huge part of our business. And yes, of course, we want to get into colleges. We would love to get into Disney and do all that kind of branding too. I mean, right now we have all unique designs, which I love as well. But before I get into the designs that we're doing in the future, yes, it's exactly a huge niche for us, for corporations, for gifts, because it shows their employees that the company cares about sustainability. And it also shows them that they care about the employees' travel wellness, because now everybody's traveling again, right? They're going on all these business trips. We care about you. Here's a sleeve. And besides promoting sustainability and it boosts their brand identity, right? Because now on the plane, everybody sees the travel agent's logo and their website. And so and we make it really beautiful. We don't just make it kind of a tacky version with their logo. We work with them and we come up with a beautiful design. We've had airlines buy from us so that they could give them out for their, most loyal customers. So we have been partnering with companies. So that's really a big part of our business.
Actually, that's getting back to the sales now, because this is a sales show forever. I mean, that's there's referrals. Make sure we talk afterwards. I could hook you up by our friends with Delta. But yeah, that's an absolute market for you to go into those corporate events. And really, the way you do it is you print one up with the Delta logo on it, or the place that you want to do, just 1 or 2 or 5 or 4, whatever you want to do, mail it to them. And ahead of time, creatively get it to them, and then follow up with a phone call and get yourself an order. That is like a standard way to do it. It's time to go after this big time. This is You can't hide in the shadows. This is such a good idea, Barbara Booth. If you don't take it on now, someone else is going to try to steal it from you with your little antimicrobial Mario container.
Wow, that was a whole mouthful there. That was woo. I think I got confetti for that.
What was your last name prior to Barbara Booth?
Okay, Camarano.
Yeah, see, with a name like Mario for your dad, I was looking for something that ended in a vowel. That is awesome.
There we go. The jersey's coming out.
There we go.
Yes.
That's what you have in New Jersey. You got Italians and Jews, and everything else is just is an also ran. You go in there.
Barbara Booth's awesome. She knows how to sell, Dan. And so when we're talking about this whole branding thing and just the possibility of this now, because I'm sold on it. I'm like, I'm adding to cart here. And I think about it like this. Like when you get on a plane and you've already paid a lot of money to fly wherever, and you kind of feel, I'm going to be honest, I kind of feel like sometimes I've been had. Like if I would have, like 2 days ago, if I bought it, it was probably $150 cheaper, or, like I think they're moving prices around. And so you feel a little like, okay, Delta, American, whatever you're flying, what am I getting out of this thing? And, you get a bag of peanuts and, you might get a Diet Coke if you don't hit turbulence. And then, they walk around with those headphones. And they're the cheapest quality headphones that you could ever imagine. And I've got bags full of them that are still in Ziploc, things. Obviously the cost on these lets me know that they're not just going to be tossing these things out to people when they come, but maybe at a minimum, if you have bought business first class or something like that airlines could be saying, hey, this is something that's a little nicer for those that have paid extra. I mean, is that a part of the thought process as well, maybe?
So, it's funny. I went to the head of Retail in Motion. Someone gave me a recommendation to call him, and they said, this is great, because it was someone at Spirit Airlines gave me his name. And he said, this is great because he works with 10,000, companies and most of them airlines. So you're not just going to one airline, you're going to, thousands. So I talked to him, and what I was told was, no, we don't want your product, because we just feel that, I forget the term, but that it's going to be stolen on the plane by the people that work for the airlines, because it's just so nice and it's so easy to pocket. And so he said, to be honest, the mints that we get on the plane cost 3 cents. You get a pack of mints, we sell them for $1. And he said, they were just walking off with them, and I thought, wow, I didn't think of that, but I'm not going to let that stop me, because they're selling the headsets, there's the headphones, they're selling the What else do they sell? They sell a lot of little things. They sell blankets. They sell, why aren't they walking off with those? You know, but he said, I think that people will just take these like crazy. So I'm not gonna, that was his opinion. And I don't stop anymore at one person's opinion, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
And,
and by the way, no is not a no, it's a not now. And that's just the, the guy one there. There's a million other things you can do for in there. What about those vending machines inside the airports? They have all those things. You can go crazy with that. No, you need to go after big companies. There's companies that spend millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on travel each year. Large companies that have just their employees that travel all the time, they need this stuff. If it reduces sicknesses and reduces downtime, this is a business expense that they can do. Plus, it's one of those things that they can offer. There's competition for quality people now, something they can offer. There is such a market for this in the corporate world. It's dramatic. We're going to just blow this thing up. Yes, it's great to have the mom that when you're going on trips and they're worried about the planet and all that stuff. And by the way, you need to lean into the whole wipe thing. No more wipes. Wipes, wipes is waste.
And then they dry out, and then but it doesn't matter. They're still, they're still bad for the earth, whether they're usable or not. Yeah.
Right. And it's a very new idea, but I never thought I'd be bringing my own bag to the grocery store either. So that was such a foreign idea just 5 years ago.
Right.
That's true.
Well, that's awesome, Barbara Booth, but still, you got it. It's step one, you got it into the store. Tell us the story when the first ones were created. Tell me about your first sale.
My first sale. Oh, okay. So the day that we started, we went on Instagram 3 days before, and we just word of mouth blasted it out there, 3, 2, 1. We're going to be out there. We're going to be out there. Maybe we started 5 days before, and the first sale, it's so amazing. I never forget this person. I had to call UPS to figure out how I was going to do my shipping, what I should charge. It was a little complicated for my online site, and so I called up. I think it's called Shipping Easy. Actually, they're like through UPS or USPS, and I spoke to this girl. Her name is Katie Duncan. And she's like, well, so what is it that you're selling? I'm interested in what you're selling. So I told her all about it. And she said, oh my gosh, when are you launching? I said, June 29th. This was 2021. I said, June 29th. And it was like 10 days away. And she said, I am going to be your first customer. I'm putting it on my calendar right now. So we launched June 29th. She was our very, very first customer. And I just couldn't believe that she remembered. And she was like one of the first people that I talked to that I was of course I told family, friends and all that, but she was one of the first, strangers that I told. And it was just like, wow, that she remembered. And then just this, maybe 2 months ago, I was in Travel Weekly, and the editor of Travel Weekly said, I want to speak to some of the people that you sold to. And so I thought, oh, okay, fine. I'll go through my list. And then I remembered Katie Duncan, and I thought, oh, she was the very first person. I'll tell him that I'm going to, you can reach out to her. So I told Katie in advance, I'm like, listen, I just want to let you know in case somebody reaches out that it's fine. And she said, I just want to let you know, you probably don't remember me, but I was your first customer. She didn't say I was your first customer because she didn't know. She goes, I bought the very first day. I said, I absolutely will never forget you. And so, we kind of continued a relationship after that. But that was my first online sale. But that day we sold 150 the very first day. So that was craziness.
Wow.
And it was just from word of mouth. So after that, our biggest sale was only a month later, and that was to Spirit Airlines. So that was so exciting. And they bought thousands for their, they called them their surprise and delight packages that they give to their most loyal customers. So they had the case embossed with their name, Spirit, and then we made sleeves for them in their colors and in a design. So they were a big company. Shark Tank reached out to us within 2 months of starting, and that was so exciting. I thought it was a hoax. I was like, know about
it's
this.
Like, hey, Barbara, this is Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
no,
not quite.
He didn't call. Yeah.
No, it was one of the producers, but I was so excited. And I decided to call back because I thought, well, if it's a hoax, at least I'll find out. And it wasn't. And it was so exciting. But they wanted sales to be at a certain point, and so they want to circle back. And that's how that went, because we were only 2 months in, and before we were even, I guess it was about less than a year, we were contacted by a company that's backed by BlackRock that was interested in possibly buying us, and we weren't even in for a year yet. So, all those things are great, but we want to increase sales still. We want to drive sales. We want to, our product, I am afraid of being copied. So I want to scale as fast as it possibly can.
Yes.
That's an interesting thing that you bring up. Afraid of being copied. Like it's one of those things where you want to go to market and you're so excited about the product, but then there's that fear of somebody copying you. How do you protect yourself from it?
So it's really hard, because even though we have a patent on the case, we couldn't put a patent on the sleeve because there's nothing that's really except for what it's made of and the designs. It's still a sleeve. You can't patent the sleeve at all. So and even though we have the case, what I keep being told is if a big company tried to copy us, it would be very hard to go up against them because the cost to battle them would be astronomical. So it would be very, very hard, and it'd take years and years and years. So, you can get your patents, and it's good to get your patents, and we love having a patent. It speaks volumes. But when it comes down to all the legalities, it's tough when you're the young one.
Well, you got to brand it. It's got to be the Gobi brand. You got to go bananas on the Gobi. Ultimately, that's
so people don't say, "Do you have a sleeve?" They say, "Do you have a Gobi?"
Got a Gobi.
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be a Gobi. That's what it is. That's where you're going to bring that value. I think that's terrific. And you got to get your story out with you and Cornelia.
Oh yeah,
I know she's. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I keep thinking of the Planet of the Apes, and she's a sweet. That's that thing.
Oh, Cornelius.
Yeah, we're back in high school. I
know.
No, I think it's great. So you got started, you're up, and so how do people buy it?
So they can go to Amazon. We're on Amazon now.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Oh,
have you heard of Amazon? Yeah, it's a thing.
Yes, we're on Amazon. We are we are online on our website at gobisleeves.com. We are in boutiques nationwide, and now we are, going full force. Well, with if you're a corporation or a travel agent, you can just go right to our site. We have a whole custom area, and we're on Walmart.com.
Look at that. So now I saw
Walmart
there was one spot where you were on TV, or they were showing it on TV and stuff with you and your CNBC experience. Tell us about that. Why? I think you're back in there now. What's going on with the CNBC? You should have this with you at all times.
So I was investigative journalist for CNBC for nearly a decade, and it was amazing. And when I was there, I actually followed the journeys of a lot of huge entrepreneurs today. And I had learned so much from all of them. And some of the people that I followed are names that you would know. Eric Ryan, who created Method dish soap, and Sarah Blakely, who created Spanx. There's so many different entrepreneurs, and it's wonderful to have been able to talk to them when they were first starting out and then see their success rise. And so when I was ready, I always had the entrepreneurial bug. So when I was ready, I just said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I feel like I've learned so much from them too. And I want to put some of their models together. And I did, really not realizing that I was doing it. From the girl that had developed the Swell bottle. If you know the Swell bottle, that was one of the first stainless steel bottles to come out. Sarah Kaus had developed that. And in speaking to her and seeing what her business model was, she wanted to eliminate the use of plastic bottles. And so she wanted to come out with a bottle that was upscale, that was sold in Nordstrom and had beautiful designs on it. And yes, those are what exactly. And she wanted to kind of corner the market in that. And so that was really interesting to me. I didn't understand how she was going to sell this in upscale shops, but she had that idea. She wasn't going to sell it in, CVS or anything like that. She sells it in Target, but it's a different level of the swell bottle. And then I talked to Eric Ryan, who was probably one of my biggest inspirations. So Eric Ryan discovered or created Method dish soap. And then he went on to create Welly. And Welly is Band-Aids that come in tins, and the Band-Aids have different designs on them, and the tins have different designs. And I interviewed him when he was just coming into this market. And he always said, I see a niche and I try to fulfill it, So I thought, well, there's a lot of Band-Aids out there. There's a lot of tins out there. I don't understand why he thinks this is going to really break into the marketplace. Like, what's the gap that he sees? So the gap that he saw, it was all in his marketing. It was amazing marketing. And the way that he framed it is, don't be afraid to go out there and live your best life. If you go out on the playground and you skin your knee, that means it's a life well lived. You're going out there and you're having fun, and you should wear your Band-Aid like a badge of honor. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so it's all in his marketing. Yes, they're Band-Aids and they have colors on them and they come in a tin. And I thought, wow. And that's sort of unknowingly, I did the same thing. I blended Sarah Kaus's model from the Swell bottle, and I blended Eric Ryan's model from Welly. So I have a product that eliminates the use of the single-use wipes, that comes in beautiful patterns, and it's called Gobi because I want people to go out there and live their best life. Don't be afraid of the germs. Get on that plane and go and have a great time. So it's a blend of their two business models and their marketing.
I'll tell you what, Dan, I can't wait when Barbara Booth and Cornelia are on Shark Tank. Not if, but when, because they're going to be tripping over each other trying to make bids on this thing. This is amazing. It's a great story. I love how you didn't make a Xerox copy of those companies of Welly, and you took the influence and you applied it. And I think too many people think that, they just need to rubber stamp something that exists and say, well, this worked for that, so I'm going to do the same thing. And you just kind of, you use that influence and kind of made it your own.
And it came naturally. I didn't even realize it until after, but I think it was a lot of my years at CNBC listening to these amazing entrepreneurs telling me that you can't just have a product, but it has to be a brand. And you have to be passionate about what it is that you're doing and the message that you're getting across, and how important it is to be transparent and honest and have a reason for doing this. And that's exactly how I feel. And it kind of came through naturally. I didn't even realize it until after the product was born.
Yes, but it's got to be the point where you got to get a Gobi. You got your Gobi? I got to Gobi. You got to get your Gobi.
I got to go be. I got to go be.
I got to go be. You got to all over the place. When is somebody
we're coming up with commercial content here. Like
when is somebody on CNBC going to interview you?
Well, I don't want a little conflict of interest there, but I hope
conflict of interest. You got a product? They're a show? You must know people there.
Yeah, I know a few people.
They're dying for a story. They'll interview Chris Stone. Certainly someday. They'll interview you.
Oh, yeah. No, someday, that would be my dream, to be out there and be, with Jim Cramer and Becky Quick in the morning, sitting there and they're interviewing me with someday.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. So Amazon, you got on Amazon, which is not an easy thing to do. For other people that are looking to do that, what are some hoops you had to run through? How did you manage to overcome that hurdle?
Oh my gosh. So we tried to do, well, I have to tell you that when we first started, a lot of people were saying, don't get on Amazon. You're going to get copied. Don't get on Amazon. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. And they take so many fees, and the scare tactics, I was like, oh gosh. So I waited a little bit. And then my partner, started looking into it, and looked really complicated. And so we kind of dropped it a little bit. And then I went to a trade show, and there were a lot of Amazon people there. And they're like, we love your product. If you want to get on Amazon, call us. So I thought, you know what, I'd rather do it this way, because trying to do it yourself, it's so complicated. There's no possible way to do it yourself. So I called, and they liked the product, and they said, oh, I'm going to pass you on to our person that does like home and luggage. And so I work with this wonderful person, and I started working with her in April, and I am able to work one-on-one with her until December. So you have her all to yourself, an Amazon rep. And I mean, it starts with spreadsheets and getting your SKUs. And I mean, the spreadsheets are massive, with all your products, and then they upload it for you into Amazon. Like, there's no way you could do that yourself. No. You have to have an Amazon rep. So, there's no charge to have an Amazon rep, because they want to pull you in, because then Amazon makes more money, right? Because she's saying to me, do fulfillment by Amazon, because then, you don't have to worry about doing it yourself. But of course there's fees involved, but for us, it's worth it, because it's just too much for us to be fulfilling it ourselves. So to us, it's worth those fees. And then of course, every day, spend about $25 a day on a campaign. So we have, it's just automatic. $25 a day goes to Amazon. And so when someone looks at something in the luggage section, our product pops up. So, that's worth it for us. So the first day we had 63,000 impressions. So there's a lot to it. Now we're putting A+ content on, which isn't on there yet, but in a lot of the companies. So one that I love is Dr. Squatch soap. And so he did a beautiful job. So at the top, he has his Dr. Squatch soap. And then if you scroll down, he has beautiful images and graphs and all these things. And that's called A+ content. And that increases your sales 5-fold.
That builds out all the product on the page, right? You're going to be able to make it look like virtually a website is for each product. Yeah.
Correct. So I'm working on that now, but I'm like, I call up my partner, Cornelia, and I say, I'm pulling my hair out, because I have it all done and I made the great graphics, and then I go to upload it and it says upload failed. And so so that's the stage I'm in right now, is trying to get that A+ content up. And of course, Amazon's saying, you have to get this now, because if you don't, you're not going to be ready for Prime Day in October, and then you won't be ready for Black Friday, and you won't be ready. So it's like everything is a fire drill. So, start now. Yeah. So it's a lot of.
That's so exciting. This is
really awesome. And this is whoever you paid to do your video, it's a great product video.
Oh, thank you.
As well. Yeah. I mean, that's money well spent. I think this is, this is very hard for, as someone who is on Amazon multiple times a day, it's a part of what I do. It's a part of the business that I do. It's one of the streams of revenue that I have as a content creator and shows that I do. I see so many product videos throughout the course of the day, and this is how to do it. This is exactly how to do a product video. So to whomever, if it was you, Cornelia, or whatever, money well spent right here. Excellent. Excellent job.
Yeah, this is dynamite. And then also there's a way to get individuals to make their own videos while using it on the plane, and they'll upload it to that. And it's more, other opportunities to sell. And it's great. And then it can go out. Yes, you got to utilize all this social media. You're an Instagram superstar. This is crazy.
I need so much more.
We need to blow this up.
Yeah, it's exactly. I definitely need the help. It's never enough. It's never enough.
Yes, that's right. Well, we'll keep it going. And, and I think the reason is you're doing things for passionate reasons. And it really does. For a rube like myself, even I just want to annihilate handy wipes. Enough of those things. We don't need them anymore. We got this. We got the sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
We got a Gobi.
We have somebody creating some meal right here on their tray with a Gobi. I mean, we're slicing avocados.
They don't have the Gobi.
Oh, they don't. Okay.
That's what we're trying to show you. Like,
they need it. They're making sushi.
They're making sushi on a plane.
That would be, imagine looking down the aisle and seeing that happen. How horrifying that would be. And you just want to scream and go, get a Goby.
Right.
Yeah.
The flight attendants have the best stories. I mean, if you go on and you listen, and there's a lot of flight attendants that have these horror stories. It's really funny.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, awesome. Next time we'll have to do it. The next time we're going to have Cornelia on as well with all those. Does she know you're here today?
She does know that I'm here. Yes. Okay. She might be listening.
Look at that. All right. Well, listen, I think this is awesome. I'm so impressed with, by the way, is Chris Stone not awesome with his podcast?
He's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah. And this is someone, by the way, Chris Stone, who was working for CNBC in New York City, like the mecca of production, and you are blowing them away.
You mean CNBC in Huntsville, Alabama? Like in New York City. Okay.
That's it. And I think so. Any final words? If anybody's thinking, how can they get it and why should they get it? And how grateful are you when people buy this thing?
I'm so grateful. It's so exhilarating. It never stops. I never stop appreciating when someone buys, and I can see it, come across. I monitor it all the time. And so I'm just so thrilled that people are enjoying something that we created. And it's an amazing feeling. So I totally appreciate it. And I don't think I'll ever stop appreciating it.
That's wonderful. And that's right. So stick around a little bit when we get done here. For those of you watching, listen, if you have a dream and you want to move something forward, it's a giant mountain to climb, but you never get that feeling anywhere else when you produce something that somebody else gives their hard-earned cash to enjoy it. You never get that feeling of creating something from nothing, other than maybe having a child. But that's more of a long-term thing. So if you're thinking about getting started in business, give it a shot. Use Barbara Booth as inspiration and make this your best day ever. You're the best. I'm the Dig. Let's go get them today.
Go get them.